And welcome back to the Arnett Report. Many of you may have heard of John Maxwell, well-known author, speaker, trainer. And did you know that John had an organization of trainers that are local? Well, we were very fortunate recently to go to one of John Maxwell's simulcasts, and it was absolutely wonderful because Peggy Kimmy was running the event. And with Janet's help, they pulled off just a spectacular day. And I was able to convince Peggy to come over and talk a little bit about John Maxwell. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Happy to be here.
So, John, as a well-known speaker and author and trainer, has actually helped train you to help other people. And I was wondering, what type of organization and people tend to use Maxwell's training?
Thank you, Jeff. When you think about Maxwell and the event you experienced, it was added to because I, or a facilitator, had been trained to bring out from your learning, from what you got from John, and to draw out from you further how you were going to implement, what were the next steps going to be, or get questions answered. So it could be a large organization that has a topic from maybe one of John's books, like Good Leaders Ask Great Questions was the main force behind the simulcast.
Right.
And then we can look at practicing and do facilitated learning, or even get people in the room practicing asking each other questions, practicing for those special difficult conversations that you have with your employees or sharing with the board.
Yeah, you can't
So
really
it's-
rehearse with a book.
No.
And that's, so I'm imagining that your ability to work with small groups or larger symposiums, you can have an opportunity to go into more detail and respond.
Exactly. Make it real for them, make it effective so that they know where best to implement and they can continue growing.
Now, my understanding is you also do mastermind groups.
Yes,
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
love to. That's usually a smaller group, maybe 8 to 10 people, and often we use one of his books as a launching point. And have you ever read a book and you started it and you loved it, but you got distracted and you didn't finish it and you didn't implement all those nuggets that you had highlighted?
Yeah.
Well, this is a great answer for that, because when we go through into Mastermind, we go through a few chapters a week and we talk about it, and we talk about those aha moments, and we talk about the questions, and we talk about implementing and continuing on. So it really gives you a chance to get a solid handle and really learn before you move on to the next nugget.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I know that there are books that I've read that from time to time there's something in there that you really find a value, but if you don't have a way to implement that into your day-to-day life, if you don't have a chance to rehearse it and actually make it your own, then it just becomes another good idea and book collecting dust.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about some of the workshops and the seminars that you folks make available.
We've got a great list. Really, it boils down to two categories. Is an organization interested in personal development, personal growth for their employees, or is it really the leadership stuff? Is it Good Leaders Ask Great Questions? Not that anyone couldn't learn from it. Is it the transitions, how to transition as a leader? Is it Leadership Gold, some of his flagship products? Or maybe it's the 15 invaluable laws of growth, which really bring you yourself to the next level, because people are going to need to grow before they're ready to lead a team. So choosing where your organization and the different groups in your company need to grow. And then we do seminars, mastermind groups, individual coaching.
Speaking of individual coaching, do you also work with executives?
Definitely. They're the ones that have the most to lose, right? They don't always like to admit that they've got a coach or that anyone is going to tell them, but they still need someone to talk with, to share ideas, and someone that's going to ask them the tough questions.
Well, and therein lies the problem that a lot of times people have worked their way up through an organization. Maybe it's a business they started themselves. And inevitably, they're up there at the top by themselves and they don't have a resource or a sounding board or to get all the instructional information that they need to run the company. So do you do work with individuals then?
Definitely. Now, I will clarify, we're talking about leadership, we're talking about interpersonal communication, we're talking about connecting. I'm not going to go in and talk to them about how to run their business and their financials. That's another kind of business coach. I'm a coach that's going to help them with leadership and communication.
Well, that brings up a good point, because sometimes executives need to get into some difficult conversations, whether it's an HR issue or staffing. Tell us about how you can help someone deal with those issues.
Certainly. When you're working one-on-one, you can really get specific about why it's a problem. Is it a reason because they're not sure, they don't know what's going to happen? There's so many different reasons that it could be. Is it a personality issue? Is it a power issue? Is it that they don't want to make the decisions? We have a lot of leaders who are there because it's a fabulous company, a strong product, but they grew it and here they are leading and they wish they didn't have to, and they'd rather ignore all the details.
There's got to be some business people out there right now, some execs, that they're aware that they don't know as much as maybe they should know or they'd like to know. Do you have any way to give an assessment about where they're at so they can kind of find out where their concerns are?
I love the fact that you asked about an assessment. We do have a 360-degree assessment tool.
Okay.
And what we're going to do with that is they're going to say how they fit, what's their leadership style, and how they think they're doing. But they can also ask all of their leaders, their vice presidents, their directors, even the whole company, even their peers, their clients, other business people that they work with, and it's all, what's that word? That you don't know who's saying what.
Oh,
so they're going to
okay.
get feedback,
Yeah.
anonymous. They're going to
Yes.
get the feedback, and then we can work with them on the strengths and the weaknesses and where they didn't even know that there was an issue, and work with them through that.
Wow, that's a valuable service that I can imagine that any business person at some point may want to avail themselves of that. So can you work with people remotely, like by phone or Skype or anything like that?
Certainly, the assessments are provided online, so we can talk about it together, and if they are long distance, yes, we can Skype, Google Hangouts, telephone, whatever is most comfortable for the executive and their location and their timing.
So what's one of the biggest problems that execs run into in communications?
Their self-image, that they aren't allowed to ask questions or make mistakes. They have to know it all. But you know that people like to follow leaders who are confident and strong, but still can ask a question, can still look at their team and make it a team effort,
Yeah,
not just all
resourceful
about
then.
me.
Yeah, that makes great. So where do people begin if somebody has a concern? It begins with a phone call? Or?
That's the best place. Begin with a phone call, and we can do an interview, a mini session, training, just to see if my style is going to be a good fit for that person, for that organization, and talk about the different avenues of the coaching and what areas they would like to discuss. Get in a conversation.
You mentioned to me at the beginning of the show off camera, we were talking about that you might, usually the first 30 minutes, you don't charge for that. It's just sort of getting to know you over coffee. So if anybody's out there, I guess, that would like to find out more about this, is contact Peggy with the John Maxwell Organization. What's the easiest way for them to get in touch?
They could probably find me on LinkedIn, Peggy Kimmy.
There you go.
That's right.
There's a business gal for you.